Man, Jake was telling me whenever he came to our show, wherever we were, he was telling me about that lion that was chasing them, and like he said he was laughing. Everybody else was like, "No, man, get your gun! Like this is for real! Like this isn't a joke."
That's a typical Jake story. I was standing right next to him, and he was on the outside, and I just had my last surgery on my ankle not long before that, so I was pretty immobile to a certain extent. They were going to go in and operate the week I got back, and long story short, what I like for my big five is a lion. So I thought, man, these were cool looking, 2 young 5-year-olds, twins, one of them black mane, one of them, just a blonde mane. And so they came at a charge of like 200 yards. I'm in the back of this truck up on a little high rack, not like a Texas high rack. But we had a tracker sitting down there in the bed and a scout also, and then me and Jake, and he was laughing because I had a hold of his arm where he couldn't fall out. All he was wanting to do is video it. And so, yeah, that's what we're saying. We're like,
is that the lion story?
Yeah. Hey,
what's up? The real lion story. You heard Jake's version. I was going to tell you the real version.
Yeah. No, that was a pretty good story, man. He showed us the video one night when we were out on the tour bus as well, man. It's like, golly, that's a little crazier than I like to get.
Yeah, it was. Those things can cover a lot of ground, and I think if they really, really wanted, if they were really not just a little taken aback by that truck, I think they probably would have got that scout. And he wasn't a very likable guy anyway, so we would have, I don't know how hard we would have tried to save him. he's a sorry little rascal,
And he's the only guy you have to outrun. You don't have to outrun the lion. You just got to outrun him.
That's right. Yeah, and I would shove him out the back. So it was the thing was we needed to get to our rifles. We had them up there on top in a basket in a case because we were actually going back to camp. We came through this opening and saw them. So we had to turn around, unfortunately, and come right back through there. And so I got my rifle out, and our PH got out and got his out and said, "Look, Randy, first of all," he said, "if there are ways and they're on charge, try to shoot in front of them." And he said, "Get any closer, you're going to have to kill them." And I said, "Oh my gosh." So that's it, a lot of pressure there. That's when you kick back to all your past and say, squeeze, all this crap you thought. I guarantee I'd have jerked that trigger so bad at that point. But we didn't see him coming back, so it was all a good story. But Jake was kind of laughing right up to the point where he about peed down his leg when they got close. So don't let him kid you. He wasn't no brave guy standing there. He's in the back of a truck with us. So anyway,
I would have peed myself.
Well, you don't get to have too many experiences with your son, and I promised him I'd take him over there because I'd been a few times, and Africa's you're either for it or you're not. It's one of those things. People just love it, or they don't, and there's really not hardly any in between. So dangerous game is addictive, and when you're hunting something that can hunt you back, it's a whole different realm than what we do, in the States. And it's wide open, it's wild. So there's closest place to town is 7 hours by a man-made road. So you're pretty much screwed if you get hurt.
Yeah.
So it's just different. It's real life.
That ain't no doubt. Well, we're already off to a bang with the good stories, man. I didn't realize I was late to the party today.
So you have a right to
hey, yeah, well, I'm normally one of the first guys on, but the gang's all here. Well, Now there's no time finer. We go ahead and get this rolling. We're a couple in with Cody Jinks. We have Josh Thompson. We have Bobby Keith Kilgore. We have Seth Noseworthy on the engineering board, hailing from just outside of Nashville, Tennessee. And been looking forward to this particular guest because we've had athletes, we've had singers, we've had all different kinds of people. We haven't had anybody in this gentleman's line of work. And when I say gentleman, I mean it. He and his family are lovely people. And we're talking about Mr. Randy Bloomer. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great after that nice little intro there. Appreciate that.
We try to do it right, you know. Wow. No, we try to do it right, you know. We like to have a lot of fun with this, and we'll talk some shop, and we'll talk hunting, and we'll talk about some mutual friends that we've got. I've got a whole list of cool things to talk about.
Now, I want to talk about Yellowstone.
That's on there. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, hey, well, let's go ahead and get started. Tell us about that, because that's awesome.
Well, it's kind of an interesting call I got one day. It started so innocently. I'm sitting here out in my truck right after lunch, and this guy calls me, and you've been getting a lot of those. This was last summer, and so he calls me and says, "Hey, this is Taylor Sheridan." He said, "I'm been a fan of your stuff, been seeing it," and he said, "Did you have any interest in having some trailers on Yellowstone?" And I said, "Yeah, I'd be interested in that. Just tell me who to talk to." And he said, "Well, you're talking to him." He said, I wrote it. And he said, you kind of feel stupid at that point. You're thinking it's a marketing guy trying to get something that wasn't. It was Taylor. And Taylor's a horse guy. You know, he does cutting and does some reining and just kind of gotten into the cow horse end of it. He's gotten into it in a big way, actually, but we just had a real good talk. It was kind of like us just sitting here BSing. You know, he's originally from Texas and just right up the road here, about 40 miles, but he's been in Hollywood for a long time and wrote movies. You know, he wrote Sicario 1 and 2, Hell or High Water, Wind River, and on and on. And then created Yellowstone, and Paramount picked it up. So the conversation just kind of led into that part of it. And he said, "Well, let me just ask your honest opinion." He said, because they had some other trailers on there the first season, and he said, "What do you think about your trailers? Do you think they would fit?" And I was just honest with him. I said, "Taylor, I'll just tell you this without sounding arrogant." I said, anybody that has the means to have that ranch, you know, that flies around a helicopter and has been there for many, many years, they're going to have my trailers. They're not going to have them. Just straight up. And
very nice.
I agree. And so that's kind of how it got started. And then he just, you know, I didn't want anything from him, and he didn't want anything from me. And I told him that right off the bat. And I said, "Look, this will be good for us with some exposure, and I'll do everything I say I'll do." And so he said, "All right, let's talk about it." And that's what happened last year. And then he calls me in like July and said, "Hey man, come out here what are you doing next Wednesday or whatever?" And I said, "Oh, I don't, same old thing. You know, my deal doesn't change too much. I'm here." And he said, "Come out to Albuquerque." He said, I'm directing a movie with Angelina Jolie, and there's one scene in it with horses and steers, and I just want y'all to drive these steers through these cameras. You know, no big deal." I said, "Well, all right." So I have a friend out there, Denny Gentry. I don't know if any of you guys know Denny, that started the USTRC Team Open and the World Series and on and on. And at this time, nobody knew it, but I hadn't been on a horse in 2.5 years because I'd been banged up. And so I didn't even know really what would happen. I didn't know if I could ride or if it would hurt, you know, or something like that. So I go out there and Denny, being Denny, says, "Well, come take this horse right here." And it was a good hill horse that I'd actually tried a few years before, but he was a little young. Got on him, rode him around, and he felt great. It didn't hurt, no pain. And he said, "Good, we're going to run some steers." I said, "Denny, I hadn't even picked up a rope to move it out of the way. I mean, anyway, it didn't matter to him. So we re-roped that afternoon, and the next day I went to this set over there, and it's kind of embarrassing, this part, but I pull up there, and Taylor, he ordered a little 4-horse trainer trailer, which is really cool, and I decked it out for him, and I took it out there, and I pull in, and the other guys in the scene, they're standing over there kind of in a huddle, and I had to walk kind of, about 40, 50 yards just up to them. I kind of felt silly walking up there. They were already all there and signed their paperwork and all this stuff. And so they started 30 minutes before I thought it was time. So I'm like, oh, this is a good start.
Yeah.
So
already late, day one. Good deal.
Yes. Very first scenario. So anyway, I did that deal. It was a 1-day deal, and the movie got postponed until September or something. But it's no big deal. I mean, it's just a small deal, and they'll probably edit it out. But after that, he sends me a deal later on and says, hey, I've got this scene coming up. And the premise of it was kind of what got me, because I really don't have any aspirations to be an actor, and too old anyway, to do that stuff. And so anyway, I go to the Road to the Million was happening that weekend. So Cole Hauser, who plays Rip, and Brett, the guy that Cole just smoked when he came across the fence last weekend, that guy, and a couple of other cast guys were over there in this little VIP area, because Taylor put this on. And I helped him with this event as Road to the Million, a raining event. And the winner took $1 million home. So I'd love to say something else, but I don't know who's going to listen, so I'm not going to say anything about that part of the raining. But anyway, I was out there, and the next day after it was over, I left and drove up to Utah, and it was a base camp east of Provo, right on the rivers where the base camp was. So they had a casting call at 5 a.m. and next morning, and so I wasn't late on this one. So I get there, and I've never seen a full-fledged set, so you get in there, and they take you to wardrobe, and I'm going to tell you something about this wardrobe. I had on just what I wear each day. I did have on a hat that my family got me for when this company turned 20 years old, and it was a chinchilla felt hat. And so I walk in this dressing room. It's kind of cool because it's got the Yellowstone doing your name on the door, and automatically you get nervous. You're like, wait, this is way overdone for me.
This is the real deal, huh?
Yeah, it's just surreal. And so I look in there, and they have a brand new pair of Wranglers that are I think they just took the tags off of them. Brand new Justin boots, and a shirt, and a belt with a buckle that said Champion Team Sorter. And I'm like, hell no.
Hell no.
I looked in that hat, and it said 100% pure wool.
Oh, no.
Yes.
So are we talking are we talking like 13 MWZs, like
yes, sir.
we're talking old school Wranglers, all right.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, and so I thought, well, I'm not wearing this stuff, so I kept what I had on, and I put on their shirt and their scarf, and they have one of those little cast Yellowstone jackets, and put it on, and the wardrobe lady's waiting on you outside. And so you walk out there, and I said, well, how's this look? She said, that looks like a perfect fit. I said, good. So I left all that other junk in that dressing room, and I strolled on out there to the makeup place, and I sat in a makeup chair. Hair didn't take any time, so I don't have a lot of it. And I was laughing at that guy. I said, I don't know what you're thinking you're going to do here with his hair, but yeah, there's just not enough there to worry about. And then this makeup guy threw a bunch of makeup on us to look like we're dirty, because it's real dusty up there, and the scene called for that. But the premise of the scene was really is one that I thought of all the ones I could have picked. I liked it because a neighboring rancher, as you've seen, falls on some hard times and gets a foreclosure notice on his ranch. And so drives out to the pasture and shoots himself. And we'd already ran the horses at this point. And so I remember walking up on this hill. We were actually in the shot, so they told us to move out. We didn't know it. Didn't know what they was doing. An ambulance came up there, police car or sheriff, and they're out in this field. And I thought, man, somebody got hurt. You know, I had no idea what was going on. And so the guy that doubles John Dutton, which is Costner, his name's Craig Branham. He's a guy I've known for 20 years plus, you know, and he's been acting for a long time. And him and Cooper Taylor, Buck Taylor's son, who was doubling Rip. So I automatically knew those guys from a long time. So we're standing up on this hill, and I said, man, what's going on? He said, it's that scene where this guy shoots himself. And I'll be honest with you, I'm sitting up there and I'm off my horse. I'm just staring down there, and it was just surreal almost. It's like, wow. Because you're kind of bought into the scene, you know? And they made him out to be a bad guy, but originally he was going to be a good guy. So that's why we stole those horses to take them to Billings. And it was a wild scene. It got edited. A lot of it got edited out. I'm sure it had something to do with, you know, like PETA or something like that, because they're mares and babies, 200 of them, we were running them back and forth, you know. And so anyway, that was the ending of it. Everything went in reverse. That was the second day. But the funniest thing of all of it was, to me, is you got just a group of guys around there that you're talking to, and just like we're talking, just shooting the bull, and about 2/3 of us were nervous, you know, because they got these big cameras, 3 of them set up right there, and the trailer was in the back. 6 horse I sent them, and then Rip and Casey were there. So Kevin Costner walks on the set, and I mean, it just got quiet, and I was like, oh boy, you know, and so I remember him saying, gather up, we're going to do a rehearsal. And so I'm standing next to him, and they changed a bunch of things. They said a bunch of different things, but they didn't make the editing, you know. And so, edited 2 of the guys that are completely out of the scene, which are friends of mine from Jackson Hole. And so I felt fortunate just to be in it after that. But I knew Taylor was going to keep me in there somewhere. But I remember walking in there to Kevin and standing next to him. He turned around and looks at me, and I thought, this shit just got real. Mm-hmm. I mean, just like that. So whatever nerves I had before that, it just about quadrupled at that point right there, you know.
Well, you're talking about
yes, sir.
Like that I would have been nervous as hell around Kevin Costner too, you know.
It was the experience itself, 16 hours, you know, in the saddle. I mean, over 2 days, they do each scene umpteen times, you know, and move cameras ever so often. But you just, after a while, you're just one of the guys, you know, and they treated me very well. I mean, they really did. And so I have no complaints. It was a nice experience that, you know, that it was a year ago. And so everybody was asking me, aren't you excited about watching stuff? And I said, man, that's a year ago. I'm pretty much over it now, you know. Mm-hmm. I mean, I've had a lot of stuff happen between then and now. So, but I wouldn't take anything for it. It's just a classy group of guys. Rough, but classy.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's a good combo. I like rough, but classy, but you know, we were fortunate enough. This season was the 3rd season, and on the 3rd season premiere this year, we had one of our songs on there, and mm-hmm. that was a thrill just to get that phone call to say, hey, you know, they're going to put the Mama song on Yellowstone, and and I actually found out from my mom, and I was like, she said, why are you promoting Yellowstone? And I said, what are you talking about? And she said, it's all over your Facebook. And I said, Mama, I don't have any clue what you're talking about. And I got on my Facebook, and my PR team had released that I was going to have a song on there, and I didn't even know it yet. So
wow.
that was a
It was
great,
good.
that was a great little thing for us. It tickled me. And to be honest with you, I haven't sat down and gotten into the series yet. We just, my wife and I just finished up a couple of different shows because obviously we're not on the road right now. So Yellowstone is definitely on my list of shows to dive into. But that's a cool story, man. Thank you for sharing that.
Of course.
Let's talk a little business.
Sure.
Let's talk about Bloomer Trailers. And I was talking to my dad. The first time I ever took my wife out on a date, I was 16 and she was 15. Wife I still have. We're still together. And it was to a roping. And my dad used to, it was very romantic. My dad used to team rope whenever I was a kid. I never got into it. I went the music route, but I certainly grew up around rodeos and rope-ins and all that kind of stuff. And I told my dad that I had met Jake, last year, and then last year out in Vegas, got to meet with you, and y'all were very kind to us, and y'all got us set up with some nice kick-ass tickets to the rodeo. Thank you again for that. But I said, I'm gonna have Randy Bloomer on, and he goes, "That's a hell of a trailer."
Thanks, Dad.
That's a Cadillac of trailers right there, son. And I was like, I know, I've been in them, I've seen them. They're like tour buses for horses. The product that you guys, and getting to see, y'all had, I think 3 of them set up in Vegas last year, somewhere around there, and getting to walk through those trailers, I'm not joking. It's like the first time, you walk on somebody's tour bus, you're sitting in a Prevost tour bus and you're just thinking, wow, this is like so nice. That's how y'all's trailers are, man. You guys have the Ferrari of, and you guys have, so I can't even sit here and name all the world champions from barrel racers to bull riders, who you guys, not only that, a lot of my buddies, in the music business, are pulling Bloomers around. And, you were talking about, Africa a while ago, and Homer Bailey. There's another guy that likes to go over there. And, that's, I think, how we really got, into knowing you guys was through Homer, wasn't it, Keith?
Yeah, it was. Jake wanted to come to the show it was real windy that day. I don't remember where we were. It was before the Tyler show. The Nacogdoches show got canceled the night before, but, I can't remember. But yeah, Jake wanted to come, and I was like, yeah, man, whatever he wants, we'll take care of him. And
yeah, that was through Homer. And I tell you what, too, Mr. Bloomer, I don't know how old Jake is, but he's got to be in his early 20s, I'd say.
25,
am I right?
Yes, sir.
25. Okay. I wish at 25 I had the head on my shoulders that young man does. Mm-hmm. I wish at 40 I had the head on my shoulders that young man does. You probably know a lot about him that I don't know, but he might have just been not. He's a great kid. He might have just not been trying to say something stupid when he was on the bus that night, so he was kind of quiet, but we had a good time with him. But you guys, y'all have your product all over America. I was looking at your site, and y'all stretch all the way up to the Twin Cities. Y'all are just everywhere, and y'all started in 1998. Give me a little bit of background, how you got this whole thing going.
I do got one question, if you do get into it, but is it true that you went to a meeting and you said you're going to build your own and kick their ass?
That is true. again, you know, I was 22 years younger at that point, but it is true. It's really, I don't think it's a great story. I'll do the abridged version because I'm not that great about, I don't want to be one of them guys that slap themselves on the back and stuff like that. And it's really hard for me to, you know, to do that part of it. But the simple truth, two things. First of all, I think you made a wise choice on the roping versus music, Cody. Good job.
Thank you.
Because you have a lot of talent.
And you've never seen me rope.
Well, you don't need to unless you just want to. But the other thing is, think if you know any parent, you know, you love hearing stuff about your kids. And I am proud of I got a daughter and a son. And I'm proud of both of them. They're both never been a minute's trouble. Jake's all boy, and I like it. But he's respectful. And that's one thing that I don't like rude people. I don't like disrespect. I'm so old fashioned. Your dad will probably understand this. I like the code of the West, and that's what I try to guide my life by each day. And, if you don't know what it is, just look it up. But it's very simple stuff. It's my procedures. But, I used to sell another brand of trailers. I had a lot. A sales lot, and I was selling these trailers, and I had some pretty good horses at the time, and I'd been after them to make some changes on these trailers because horses were kind of evolving, you know, and if you're not in tune with the horse business, a decade will go by and the horses have completely changed. They've either gotten bigger, slimmer, more bone, less bone, depending on what the event is. And they just never changed anything because they wouldn't. They were not very receptive to it. And so I had a good horse that I won the Palomino World on, and he was only 4 years old, and took him to the quarter show in Fort Worth and all day, and it was hot, and did real good there. And that night they had a team open in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. That was back in the day before they had, you know, rotation. So wherever you entered, where you got to rope. Well, I roped about 2:00 in the morning. And so didn't do any good. And so it was a long drive back then. And so I pulled in a truck stop there and just outside of Houston. And it was just almost daylight. And went and checked on the horses, and I opened the first one, and I saw that my good horse there's blood down the mangers. And so that got my attention. And so I unloaded the horses, went up there, and I figured it out finally that after the show that morning, driving all the way over there, it was hot too, summer. And then getting him out and seeing he'd gotten so tired, he just lowered his head down in the pan of that manger, and the road just kind of ground his gums, you know. And so Monday morning, first thing, I'm not going to be long on this, but I called him. I said, "Hey, we have got to make some changes on these trailers because this happened to me, and I know if it's happening to me, it's happening to someone else." And at this time, I had sold quite a few trailers, had some success there, and was sold out for at that point, 3 months, and really didn't have anything to sell on my lot. And so told them about it. They invited me up to a meeting in Oklahoma City, and so I flew up there. And at that time, this industry was so gluttonous that there really weren't enough aluminum trailers to supply the demand. So they had allocations for you. You'd be like, "Cody, we're going to put you on there, but you're only going to get 5 minutes." And you say, "Well, I got 20 songs." Well, that's, 5 minutes. That's all you can have. So we have other people we do business with too. Something like that. Well, there was other companies that weren't selling the big trailers at that time. I'd already had some of my pro guys. I had trailers. I put them on the road in some world champions, friends of mine, Rich Skelton, Speedy Williams. They've been with me for 26 years. And so I went up there and sat down with the owners and the two dealer coordinators. And I told them right off the bat, I'm looking just for answers on what I can do, And so I had a plan in mind, that these other dealers weren't selling any of this. So I'll give them all the small stuff and I'll take their big stuff, and then we can just, both of us are happy. And they just looked at me and said, well, oh, we don't really do that. It's hard to make those changes and all this stuff. And after about 20 minutes, first off, just stroking you, telling what a great asset you are to their company, and they're the youngest dealer they've ever had. You've already got to the top and in just a short amount of time. And I'm like, you know what? I appreciate it, but I got a bigger problem at home, and that's paying the bills. But tell me what we can do to get some trailers, And, and it was a really nice conversation. I mean, I wasn't arrogant at all, and they weren't either. But basically I got no answers. And I said, look, I'm not a businessman. I'm young. I need to know what you would recommend I do to get going. And they no kidding, they looked at each other and said, I really don't know. I'm like, what? What? If you don't know and I don't know, we're in trouble, So one of us has got to know something. And so I wasn't really mad at this point. I was just pretty disappointed, because you work your tail off, and I was going to a lot of events, setting up, and then using my contacts to sell trailers and whatnot. And then you get up there and it's just kind of like, well, we don't really have anything to tell you. I'm like, man, this is not how I envisioned it at all, And so I'll go to the airport. We leave, and we didn't have cell phones, guys. I know it's hard for y'all to believe, but we didn't. Saw y'all young.
Oh, hey, we didn't. No, we didn't. When we started touring, we didn't have cell phones.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
And you know how frustrating it is.
Yeah.
To a payphone and hope you have the exact change halfway through your conversation. So I called my wife, and by this time it all kind of sunk in, and it's kind of one of those times you kind of dread landing, because then you got to deal with it. So you kind of want to stay in the air longer.
Mm-hmm.
But I called her and she said, how'd it go? And I said, it was terrible. I said, I didn't learn anything. And she said, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? I said, and I don't know where it came from, but this is what you're talking about, Keith. I said, I'm going to build my own and kick their ass. And that, it's anger, youth, just whatever it was. And I don't know where it came from, because I didn't have any skills in that, but it was just really frustrated. And that's how it started. And I knew there was 3 guys in the industry that I needed that could do everything from start to finish, and reached out to all 3 of them. First 2 I brought down and put them up in my hotel, had a nice dinner and talked about it. And he turned me down. Second guy, same thing. Because they weren't willing to take a chance, on a 32-year-old guy that's got these big dreams, and they just didn't buy into it. And so there's only one guy left, and I thought, I didn't take him to a nice restaurant. I didn't put him up. I took him to a Denny's right there at the airport. I spent enough money on that stuff. So, I tell you what I did. True story. I wish I still had it, but I didn't waste any time with him, because I knew he had the skills. I just, he's that's very well known in our industry. And so I just took a napkin out and I just drew this side of this trailer. And I said, this is what I want. And some of the things he looked at the time, I had slanted window bars. And he said, all you're doing is creating time in your manufacturing process. Why would you do that? And I said, first of all, because it looks fast. Everything's at an angle, and no one else is doing it. He's like, and those kind of guys don't have a big imagination. And so I thought, oh boy, here we go. Told him what I wanted the sides to look like, the manger heights, everything from the horse compartment out. But I knew I wanted it looking good. And every component that goes on these trailers, I want it to be the best money can buy. I may build 1, or I may build 10,000, but I want each one of them to be the best one there is. And he made me sign a contract with him that I'd guarantee him a year's salary and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, if you only knew, I can barely afford to pay this dinner. Less than that for a year. But he came on board and we started, right there. And I rented a little old building down there south of Houston. Cause it was really cheap down there because my next door neighbor was Union Carbide, and so it was just a ratty old building, and the NFR was coming up. And so I thought, well, we'll see what happens, and I called a lot of my contacts and told them we're going to be at the NFR with a new trailer. And we didn't have, any social media or anything like that. It was just a lot of word of mouth and a few print ads, and I didn't have any pictures yet to put on the print ad. So I did a big page that said, it's coming soon, look for it in December, something like that, and trying to intrigue them a little bit. And we built 2 trailers, and the trailer that we took to Vegas, in 1998, we drove it out there, my family and I remember, they were babies, and I remember getting there and we're about to pull in behind the stands and to stage it. And my wife said, I'm so glad we made it, because can you imagine what we'd have done if this thing would have got wrecked or something? And I just grabbed the wheel and I'm like, well, I'm so glad you didn't tell me that when we started.
Yeah.
No lie. We're turning in. One of those transit buses comes by and their mirror hits the hay rack on the side of this trailer and knocks it off. True story.
Right after she said that.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
There's power in those words. I learned something about her then. She says something to me, I'm going to listen, sometimes.
You're damn right.
But that's a true story. And I didn't have anything to write up orders on. I didn't have a quote sheet, just wasn't really ready, honestly. And my people started coming by, that were customers of mine for a long time that I'd known in the rope and some rodeo guys and on and on and on. Man, we left there with 20 orders, and they trusted me and said, hey, we know if you do it, you're going to do it good. So, that's, people say they say I cater to the rodeo guys. Well, let me tell you what, maybe not all the new guys, but them old guys that helped me build this business. And so you just don't want to ever forget. It had a chance to fail, Cody. Just much had a chance to make it. I just didn't want to fail.
I think I think the parallels, and somehow or another, all of the guests that we have on this show, I can usually draw parallels to you pulling in, you get your hay rack knocked off, and then you leave with 20 orders. Were you leaving with 20 orders with that, this is awesome, but oh man, how are we going to do this? Or were you like, no, we got 20 orders, we got this?
That's a very good question. I've never been asked that question, but I always answer it anyway, whether they ask it or not. And because it's the absolute truth. You know what I was telling you about my shop, my plant manager, that we had 7 employees at home and him. Well, I told you they weren't real big dreamers, right? I mean, they're doers. They're hands-on, build. Well, I called him when when it was over and we were going to head home. I called him and I said, hey, Joe, he said, how'd it go? I said, it went real good. I said, we got 20 orders. 20 orders? How in the hell are we going to build 20 orders? We only have enough stuff here for 2 trailers, And that was his mentality. I'm like, I'm never calling you again, but that's true. That's the way they think. And he knew he was responsible for making it happen. And so that's how it really happened right there. It was just one line you make, and then you feel like, if you're going to crow about it, you got to be about it. So that's what I did. I mean, I'd tell you what, I had some good horses, some good steers and some good cows that I sold. That's what paid our bills for the first year, because we drew nothing out of it.
Yeah.
And so you spend everything that you have gambling on it, and then sometimes it pays off, So
yeah.
Thank you, God, for looking at. He loves dummies, drunks, and babies. I'm not a drunk. I'm not a baby. So you do the math on it.
Well, I'm in that same boat with you, and Josh can kind of attest to that. I mean, we were in our early 30s, and nobody wanted us. I was considered unmanageable, because I was, very much, I'm going to do this my way. And after having been in, I guess the music scene around here, the country music scene since 2003, by the time I was 32, 33, and had discovered that everybody, was not really wanting to wager on me. We just kind of said, screw it, we'll start our own club. And that's kind of what we did.
I love it.
And we didn't have a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out of, but, we believed, we kind of have our own version of, it came back with 20 orders and we only had two trailers worth of material to make. We had that feeling a bunch of times, but my dad always taught me whenever I was young. He said if you're wanting to work and and you have that ethic and whatever, and somebody says, "Hey, Cody, can you do this?" "Yes, sir." And then you might turn around and go, "How the hell am I going to do this?" But the answer is, "Yeah, I can do that." And then I'm going to spend the rest of the day trying to figure out how to do it.
Yes, sir.
So
that's what winners do.
And you have to, and you have to go at it with that mentality, with that approach. Josh and I, it's kind of a common theme. We joke about it and laugh about it a lot. We've been playing together for a lot of years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. But, I love the parallel, being in your early 30s saying, well, hell, I can do this on my own.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. There's something about that age group right there, but I'll tell you this. The one thing you guys had that most people probably did, I didn't know you then, but I'm going to say that it's real hard. There's two things that I think in life are really hard to beat. One is a true love. If you get true love, wife and a husband. And an old man told me one time, and we were actually gathering cattle years ago. So, this has been long before Bloomer Trailers. And he said, I'll take a man and a woman that truly love each other and are passionate about each other, and I'd put them against the army, because whether they win or lose, they're never going to lose that passion for each other. That was one thing. As a young guy, I didn't understand it too much, but as I got older, I did understand it. And the other thing is, if you got guys that are on your team that are buying into what you're doing, and you're all passionate about it, how can you lose?
Yeah, agreed. I agree 100%. We in our organization here, we are, actually this year would be 10 years since we decided to start doing it without anybody's help, Josh, I guess.
Yeah.
So we built our team. I think our newest guy's been with us 4 years, so
that says a lot for you guys.
And it's one of those situations where, you're talking about having a true love and having a man and a woman against an army. And I'm a firm believer in that, but I also love and I can't even remember where I heard this, and it might have been I might have been driving a forklift on a loading dock somewhere, but I heard a guy say something about another guy that stuck out, and he said that man will go to hell with a bucket of water with you.
I like that.
And that's, there's the old term riding for the brand and all that, all that good stuff.
Sure.
But, I want the guy that I say, all right, boys, we're going to run down to hell real quick. We're going to put it out, grab some 5-gallon Home Depot buckets, and I want the guys that are going to beat me to the truck. That's a
good way to put it.
that's the most important thing to me. So
now, Randy, speaking of those guys, am I correct? You still have some of those guys that worked on that first trailer that are still in your operation. Isn't that correct?
That's correct. Yes, sir. We built this place over here in 2002, and I had some real good guys, and we really, honestly, they just had some great work ethics and some skills, welders and fabricators and whatnot. And when we built this place, I moved, I think 20 families over here and brought them with me.
Wow.
And then started hiring the rest over here. But, yes, that's true. And they're still here today. 22 years. I have 4 employees that's been here 22 years.
That's awesome. What a testimony.
Yeah. So I just attribute it to them being slow learners and poor judge of character.
They'll get it figured out one of these days.
Yeah. Oh, boy.
I would like to kind of touch on something that you brought up earlier, and it's kind of the way that you were brought up. And, I think it's evident that you have always lived that cowboy way of life. What is it about that allowed you to have that drive? What is it about that way of life that gives you that drive every single day?
That's a real good question. I was raised by a single mom for almost all my life until I was in about probably a sophomore in high school, and I lived in Odessa, Texas, and I was probably a little smart aleck and just didn't have enough of true guidance, I don't guess. And she sent me up to my dad, who I really had not been around at any great lengths, and it was just a weird circumstance. My mom I would say she was pretty instrumental in my thought process, and I don't know whether she was just truly believed that I had the drive to do whatever I wanted to do, or whether she was saying it, but I knew for a fact from an early age that I couldn't do whatever I wanted to do because I'm not smart enough to be a doctor. I don't like to argue, so I'm not going to be a lawyer. So I knew that was BS, but I knew there was something out there, and I really don't know what drove me to that. I didn't like where I came from. I didn't want to go back to that place, and I certainly didn't want to raise a family, and just not really have any means, or I just really took it personally that it was my responsibility to do everything I could to make sure that I gave them everything that I was capable of giving them, whether it's $12 an hour job or whether it was this, it doesn't matter. To me, I was going to do it regardless, because I had a lot of menial jobs, trust me. But the one thing I always went back to was I was fortunate enough to be able to ride a horse well, and my dad roped up there too. And so I did rope a lot when I was young. I played the baseball a lot and hunted. That was my thing. And it's a nice release to get away, but it does create some good habits too, because you got to take care of these animals, which means you got to get up and go feed cows before daylight. So you got to be at school on time, and that part of it, when you're that age, you probably don't love much because you're chopping ice or whatever, and you're thinking it's just so stupid. But it did teach me good work habits, and I think that part of it right there, it just has always been with me. Just I want to be proud of who I am as a person first. I don't want dollar signs or number of zeros, behind my value dictate my self-worth. I want to be the kind of guy that, just like this Code of the West, it's so easy for me to follow. And I saw this many years ago, and I'm a huge John Wayne fan, and I saw it somewhere that he was talking about the Code of the West. And that time we went to a library and I found it, and I thought, there's no way I can do this. First of all, I don't even like people that much, I thought, at the time. But you just grow up. At some point you mature and start reading this stuff. And if you guys have kids, that when you have kids, all of a sudden your things start looking a little different.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
So you want to be better for them. You don't want to embarrass your kids, and you want people, when they talk about you, they may say you're tough, but you got to be fair. And I'm not a pushover, but I'm the first guy that'll help you. But the one thing that I learned that helped me a lot on that is, as I got in this business, even before the big wars and stuff, I started meeting some soldiers, some true warriors, some special forces guys. And I remember feeling just honored that I was having a conversation with these guys, because they had some trouble in battles, and we're still struggling with that. But then fast forward, I met some guys through John Wayne Walding, and who his partners with Chris Kyle. When Chris got killed,
Mm-hmm.
I got to know Jeff, his brother, and started helping some guys out, special forces, and if you want to be humble pretty quick, that's the best way to do it. And so what I got from that was the old saying, where people believe today that kindness is weakness. And I was in front of our youth team. We have a youth team we've done for 14 years. And I told them, I'll tell you what, some of the bravest, toughest individuals I've ever met in my life are the kindest people you'll ever meet. They would step in front of a train for you for no gain. And that's these guys. So it kind of makes you stand up straight and say, hey, you know what? What am I whining about? This guy doesn't have a leg, and he's not going to get to run with his kids, whatever it is that motivates you. It just really hit me hard. And so I'm friends with them today, and I just really respect them and appreciate what they did, because, where the country's at right now, these guys are probably sitting back thinking, man, why in the world did I go give up my right leg, my left eye, my right hand for this? And it just disheartens me. I don't have anywhere to go with it, because I get to thinking about that and I get mad again.
Well, our service people, our organization as well takes that very seriously. We do what we can when we can, and you can't see it right behind me, but I've got a whole cabinet space full of things that service men and women people have given me their combat medals, which there was one particular guy that he's having a tough time. He had PTSD real bad. And we've known him for several years now. And whenever he's around, whenever we can go play, we have him up on the bus, and he and his wife, and they went through some tough times and whatnot. And, I remember him giving me his combat medal because he said that my music saved his life. And I was so taken aback by that, because what do you say? You say thank you, but thank you is not big enough. Because in my mind, I'm thinking, holy shit, dude, you got to be fucking kidding me. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm thinking. Like this guy, nearly died while he was over there, then nearly died by his own hand. And, it's powerful stuff that, and I don't want to go down that rabbit hole too far, because like you said, I'll I'll find another plane.
Yeah, me too.
As
We'll do
far
that
as,
later.
it's yeah,
yeah.
we can do that. Like it's just me and you. We can sound like a couple of grumpy old guys. But I wanted to ask you. Well, okay, let's consider a normal year, because this year has been anything but normal. How many trailers would you say you guys are manufacturing a year?
Well, we usually do between 250 and 300 is all. And there's companies out there that's doing 25 a day. We're just a little. I think that a lot of this business today is just a philosophy of your business. It's what do you want? What do you want your business to do? And I know what I want ours to do, and that is to be the best trailer out there, hands down, so that all the other people are using you as an example. It's as good as a Bloomer or something like that. And so the difference is this. I'm not going to name any names, but I had so many people question is, why did you build just that many? Why in the world would you not ramp it up? And so we used to do more than that. And I said, well, I can tell you why. It's because when I went to 350 a year, my quality went down, because it's real hard to manage 110 people. But when you get down to 75 and 80, you can manage them a lot easier and protect your quality. And so I called a guy one time that had sold a trailer company, and they were doing, 25 a day or something like that. And he did $20 million that year. And so I called him up, and most trailer manufacturers don't talk, which is really stupid to me, but it's just like they have their secrets. It's like, dude, walk out and look at one, take a picture. There are no secrets in this industry.
No.
Otherwise, you wouldn't have copied everything I've done. I mean, anyway.
Yeah.
So this guy, I said, you're the king, man. You did it. And he said, Randy, I'm the king. He said, I did $20 million this year, and I lost $2 million. And I'm like, yeesh. The first people that's on hold is somebody that's, that has a distinct budget, and you to get a trailer, you go to what you can afford, comfortably afford. And then my trailer doesn't fit everybody. But whether it fits them or not now, I wanted to at least aspire to have one, at some point.
Mm-hmm.
And you ought to be able to walk out to an aluminum horse trailer, and that salesman should be able to tell you where every dollar you spend is. He should be able to point it out and tell you everything on that trailer that makes it worth that kind of money. If they can't do that, then that's not your guy, But here's the difference. The philosophy is when you can build 7 trailers a week, let's say, and they average 36 foot on the floor, which means that trailer, right there at 36 feet, that's like a 4-horse with an 18-foot short wall. Okay. And so when you do that, the whole industry average is 26 feet. So when you're building trailers that are averaging 37 foot on the floor, there's a lot of structure that has to be in those things. And that's what we're good at. That's one thing that we've done since day one. So you give a trailer in here that's a 40 foot on the floor that wants to haul 6 horses and a big living quarters up front, it's going to weigh 30,000 pounds loaded. Well, a lot of those guys have to go try to figure out how to make that structure work. And I don't. I use the same stuff in this 10 horse I just built out here on this stock combo trailer on a 3-horse bumper pull or whatever. It's just, that's the extrusions that we have. And I own 92 dies that everything on there are proprietary to us. So that when they extrude them from a raw ingot, it's my die that comes through, and we're the only ones that can have it. So they can't really copy a lot of the stuff. And you can really control your quality of your extrusions too. So it's that philosophy right there. I don't want to be second. And every day, I'm in the shop every single day, and just QCing, put my hands on stuff. So that's the mindset. The way I looked at it in the recession, which was brutal, we lost 7 manufacturers and 5 or 6 living quarters manufacturers during that time. And it was very tough. All the money that you'd made, you're sinking into it every month, and you're just hoping for the end to come so you don't just run out and you're dead in the water. I mean, it was a terrible time. But
you're talking about like 08, 09 when the bubble burst, all that?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
It was a very tough time because back then the difference in this now and then, back then it was a financial crisis, and now it's this crisis here where people have had 3 years of doing well, getting on their feet and all this stuff. But when you have somebody that's on a budget like that they can only afford X amount, those trailers, there was thousands of those trailers sitting on lots and at manufacturers, unsold. I had 4. That's the difference. So the philosophy I had, saved my bacon then, and the 3 most expensive trailers we've ever built were built during the recession because the people that had the money still had the money.
Yeah.
So it's just different. I'm not into cookie cutters at all. So, and that just solidified that, well, I know I'm on the right track. Just try to weather the storm.
Well, anybody that's seen y'all's product, it knows it ain't a cookie cutter. That's for sure.
Well, it's just that philosophy again, It's hard to build what we build. It's probably the most time sensitive product in the horse trailer industry, the way we build it. Mm-hmm. It just really is. But it's also, I have less warranty claims than any other company by, I don't even know how many percent, a large amount. And our customer service is good. And when you start looking at people with dollar signs when they walk through your door, is a bad habit to get into. And so we don't do that. Whether they're buying a cheap trailer or a very expensive trailer, we treat them the same. And it's again, code of the West, I'm telling you, but all my dealers bought into it, and I've had dealers been with me now for 20 years, and just solid men. And I have the best guys, and they follow that pattern. So I don't know what else I could ask for. I'm just really fortunate to surround myself with good people. A lot of people in here smarter than me, I promise you.
Well, and that's to me, that's the mark of somebody that's going to be, or at least it has a more likelihood of being successful. I tell people that all the time. I have surrounded myself with fantastic people who know more about what I want them to do than I know about what they do. Okay. That's the utmost importance to me, is because I know what I can do. I know what I'm capable of. And I also know where my shortcomings are. So that's when I have to, find somebody that can do it and do it the right way, do it the honest way. Dollar signs has never been, a motivating factor. I mean, we were so damn broke for so long that we probably should have quit in like 2010. We probably should have just been done with it because I was so far in debt, but it worked out because we rallied our team. We got the guys that are still with us. And here we are all these years later.
Well, wasn't 2010 when you came out with that Adobe sessions?
Oh, Adobe was 15, Josh.
Yeah, 15. 2010 was, I believe,
Less Wise.
That might have been Less Wise.
Less Wise. And that was the first record that we did completely by ourselves, away from our prior management team. I had gotten into a bad management deal in 2005 when I was 25. And I finally got out of that deal when I was 30, having made 2 records that are no longer in print. And Josh and I were just looking at each other like, what are we going to do? I have, these 10 or 12 songs, that we can go try to record, but we didn't have the budget to do it. We didn't have anything but the songs and the ideas, but, somehow we were fortunate and we were able to get it all done. And, Adobe Sessions, that was really the record. That record came out when I was 35. that's really the one that put us on the map.
I agree. Well, I got to ask you a question. I'm not going to interrupt you, but I heard a cool story about that. But you know how stories are, so you got to fill me in and make sure it's correct.
Okay.
Did you guys go somewhere in Southwest Texas and sit down and write those songs just while you were out there, kind of by yourself, chilling out?
We go. Well, the majority of that is true. It's really, it's about as West Texas you can get. It's a little town called Tornillo, and Tornillo is a border town about 35 miles this side of El Paso. So it's literally in the middle of nowhere. The ranch that we record on is called the Sonic Ranch, and it's an active pecan tree farm. And people wouldn't think of that part of the world as being where some of the best pecans in the world come from, but it actually is. But yeah, we found this place in 2015, 14, I guess, was when we started recording. Adobe was out there. And my manager, who I had we had been working together for about a year or two at that point, and manager I have now still. And he said, you have to go to this place called the Sonic Ranch. And I said, I've been doing this long enough. I used to be in a rock and roll project and, did 2 records doing that. I had just, I had done 3 country records up until that point. And he said, you have to go out there. It's magic. And, short story long, that was 6 years ago and 5 records later. And we've cut everything out there. And I've never been to another place, cause I write at home. I don't write when we're on the road. I can't really write well on the bus. It's all business. It's all shows. It's all glad handing, meet and greet, working in a different capacity. When I get home, I take all the ideas and things, for songs, and I construct all that at home. But the Sonic Ranch it's the only other place I've ever been other than home. So you are correct. I can go out there and just sit down in the desert and write. And I've gotten some of the best stuff, being out there writing just in the middle of nowhere.
You ain't kidding. That's a great album.
And it's funny, people, the cover of that record is actually, it's the former border checkpoint stop from Texas into Mexico. And it was operational until the 50s, Josh. Is that right?
I thought it was more the 30s, but you
30s, 40s.
I think so, but
okay. Anyway, the building, sure. the Adobe room itself, where we've recorded so many of our records, it's a tiny little building. The cover of that record is actually the Adobe record, Adobe building. It's not doctored up. It's not fancy. It is what it is. It's very basic. Now the equipment inside of it's fantastic. But if you were just looking at this building, you would just think, now who the hell's going to go cut a record in the middle of the desert in that?
Look, that's a great story, though.
It works.
That's a great story. Yeah, I love that stuff. Cause I heard that, and I'm like, and this was before I met you guys. I'm like, I got to meet these guys. That's if that's true, that's going to be such a neat story. And it is. I'm so glad to hear it's true, so I won't have to tell this guy he's full of it.
No, that is the truth. And we've been going out there. And we're scheduled to go back out there at the end of the month of August to start working again because, we haven't been able to be on the road and go play shows naturally. So, the idea right now is just try to create, try to work on some new ideas, try to get some. Try to get some new songs down and just try to stay busy because when, everybody in our industry, man, we've been sidelined. Nobody can go play. Nobody can do anything. So we're just trying to keep from going too stir crazy.
I bet. Well, you get those creative juices flowing and there's no telling what you guys are going to come up with. It's just, your sound is very unique, and I mean, it's not unusual for us to go like hunting, especially if we're going out of state, you know, and driving. It's not unusual for us to play all the albums straight through. Just
Oh wow, thank you.
Well, yeah, it's true. I mean, it really is. So whatever you're doing, I mean, it's so unique. It's kind of refreshing. I'm old school, and I was asked a while ago about my past with cattle and stuff, and I'll tell you what, I've reverted back to that. And so having the music that kind of goes along with that, you know, the modern country music and me don't get along too well.
Me neither.
Not throwing any stones, but it's just, I cast no stones.
There you go.
There you go.
They can,
But
you know, they can put out bad music if they want to. I was the guy that was like you that said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go kick their ass.
That's right. Well, I'm old school. Like I said, your dad would probably understand that, but I do, you know what I enjoy now? I don't enjoy going to a team roping because it turns into business every single time. Somebody will come up and want to talk to you. So I just kind of fell out of love with it, and then I got hurt, and so I couldn't do it. And I realized I could live without it, but what I really do enjoy now is I have some good ranch horses, and when they have Brandons, they'll invite you to the Brandon, and it's old school. You know, you drag them to the fire. And if you really want to get back to the roots, feel like a cowboy, that's how you do it right there. You know?
Yeah.
Rope and drag them to the fire. I don't know if it's a compliment to you, but your music fits us.
Well, no, I appreciate that. I really do, man. Thank you for the kind words.
Randy, you were talking about, you know, driving and listening to music. So I'm kind of interested, if you could take a wild guess, how many miles have you driven with a trailer behind you?
I can tell you the 07 trailer I had 1 million miles of logs loaded. I can tell you that. Too many.
I love it.
That's a lot of miles, man. That's a lot of miles.
A lot of miles. I tell you what, this COVID deal, it hadn't helped. I tell you one thing it hadn't helped me with at all. It has not helped me with my fitness plan at all. Figured out my wife. She cooks pretty good, and I'll prove it.
Yeah. Oh man, it's been nuts. You know, I actually after we get done today, wrapped up, me and my son we're loading up, and my wife and daughter are up in Colorado right now. We have a place up there just outside of Durango, and about a week ago, my wife said that I've been home for way too long. She was going to Colorado. Oh.
Okay, honey, have fun.
So she got a week up there without me, but I'll be up there by tomorrow evening, so I'll start giving her hell again.
Okay. Good for you. It's a pretty place to be.
Oh man, it's gorgeous, and it's okay. Do you know where Silverton's at?
Yes.
Okay, we've been going up to Silverton. She's been going up there her whole life. We're big into Jeeping. We like to go crawl around on the mountains in the Jeep. So, you know, I married into her family, 15 years ago, and I think in the 15 years we've been married, we've only missed, I think 2 trips up per summer. But now that we have a place up there, I mean, hell, we were just up there about a month and a half ago as well. So it's nice to get up there and enjoy some of that 75 instead of that 105.
You're not kidding. Yeah, Silverton, Uray. I've been all over there a lot of times. I've hunted not far from there a couple of times years ago before it got, real big.
Mm-hmm.
There's something about the mountains that there's just peace.
Yes.
I don't know. It's weird. It's just, I feel more peaceful up there than I do anywhere else, just because it's unspoiled still. There's still places you can go that no person's ever stepped. And that's hard to find these days.
It is. Well, man, I didn't even realize what time it was. We've been rapping for almost an hour and 15 minutes. I can't thank you enough for your time and setting it aside, man. This has been a great conversation. I love your philosophies, and there's a lot of things that we have in common.
Mm-hmm. Well, I appreciate that. I do. And and then I'm flattered you asked me to be on here.
Oh yeah. We, our whole thing is, Randy, we meet a lot of interesting, people doing what we do. And this has been a really fun avenue for us. We're a little bit behind because of the COVID thing. So we have some episodes stacked up, but, we're about to start just purging all of those and just getting them all out and try to get caught back up because we had to take a few months off. But, being able to kind of, for people to get to know us and the people that we meet in a different sort of light. Cause, and I use this example a lot, I walk up on stage and I'm the guy in the cowboy hat and the sunglasses and doing the rock star thing. And that's fine and well and good. But, having these kind of just these little cold beer conversations with guys like yourself, it really, people love to hear that side of it as well. You know what I'm saying?
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's been fun, and you guys, I'm proud of you guys for where you've come. You're doing great, and just keep charging.
Love it. Yes, sir.
Cody,
Thank you very much.
Before you got on, I told Randy that I'm gonna bring you down to thermal hunt with us.
Okay. All right. Hey, my suppressor should be in within the next month or two.
I knew it was coming up.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's
Randy,
behind.
I know y'all have a favorite piece too. He likes to carry that Wilson Combat like you do.
Oh, you got you a Wilson Combat?
I do have some of them, yes.
Oh man, I need
them.
I need some more of them is what I need. But yeah, I have a 1911 45, and it is my favorite one.
Well, you come down and we can shoot as much as you want. We can shoot out to 1,000 if you want to do that. We can shoot pistol targets at 15 yards, whatever you want to do. I got a few pistols and I got a few rifles, so anytime. And thermal, man, just don't worry about it. We got you covered. Just come on.
Okay.
Whether you want binos or whatever you want.
Hey man, I'd appreciate it. And if it's looking like they're not even going to put us back on the road. Man, I heard till 2022 the other day, and my heart sank and my butt puckered. I don't know what I'm going to do with myself, man. So might have to get down there.
On, surely not.
Go get
well,
some.
We can kill some shit. That's for
I was
sure.
going to say we could go kill some shit. That'd take my mind off of it for sure.
I think we're still going to try to do. I think we still might try to come out to Vegas, right? Did you still want to do that?
Yeah. I still would like to try. Everything right now, every day is kind of a game time decision in terms of what's going on. I think yesterday's death toll was the most for Texas in any one single day. So yeah, we're just trying to figure all this crazy mess out and bob and weave.
Terrible times. Well,
yeah.
If you guys need any help out there in Vegas, I mean, I don't. Your guys obviously would have more contact than me, but I have some out there. If you ever want to do something out there, let me know, and I'll help you if I can.
Oh man, appreciate that. Thank you so much. Well, hey, Mr. Bloomer, thank you so much again. It was nice to have met you and your son as well last year, and
thank you.
Yeah, man, just the best of luck to you guys and y'all's business and y'all's family right now. That's but pretty much all I got. Josh, Keith, y'all good?
Oh man, this has been great. Thank you very much for your time today.
I'm good. Thank you.
Awesome.
Cody, Seth, Keith, Josh, all you guys. Take care.
Well, we've been a couple in with Cody Jinks, Josh Thompson, Bobby Keith Kilgore, Seth Noseworthy on the engineering end out in Nashville, Tennessee. And our guest today has been Mr. Randy Bloomer. And go to bloomertrailers.com and check out what they've got going on. They are Ferraris meant to be pulled behind dualies. They're that nice.
There's a commercial too. You got a commercial out of the deal too.
Hey, that was awesome.
All right, boys. It's been a real pleasure, man. Thank y'all.